a lot of men took gripe about is that they like, oh, not only are you telling the secrets or whatever, but they kind of felt like you were pandering to black women for your benefit. What would you say about that?
Well, we kind of have this bro code, and it's got us in the chokehold. You know, and the bro code is all about having a man's side no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter if we wrong or what have you. And I think personally it's created a generation of coddled men that can't take correction from anybody, no matter how soft it is or balanced it is. So when I'm saying all of this, you know, of course there's different layers to it. Some of them think, oh, it's because he wants money or what have you. But man, I was raised by a single mother around two sisters. Naturally, I lean towards the woman's point of view on things. Anything else would be disingenuous. And it's not that everything that I'm saying is necessarily right, but it's how I see things.
Ooh-wee.
Game to win. Game hard.
Alright, y'all. So, we got this Pookie pandering to women ass. I'm sure you've heard it all when it comes to Derrick Jaxn. And to me, I just think he's a straight up clown. That's just my personal take on the situation. I think he was a clown then. And I think that even as he begins to, you know, tell his side of the story, I still think he's a clown. But I do think there's a lot of things to unravel because we've already heard from Derrick Jaxn. And of course, you know, Derrick Jaxn cheated on her. And she kind of presented herself as a type of way. And I think this video is going to shed some insight, not to take his side, but rather just to see, okay, there's always two sides of a story. And then there's the third side, which is the truth, right? So I'm by no means going to say that whatever is said in this video is the truth, but what we are here to discern is through his own speech, can we have some insight on what actually took place and how could that help men and women as a whole on a larger front in terms of how to keep a functioning relationship. But I'll just say this, if you're getting any advice from some dating guru, relationship guru, I mean, especially when that advice is not grounded in the Bible, you a sucker just as much as they are.
That everything that I'm saying is necessarily right, but it's how I see things.
Who was Derrick growing up? Like you said, I hear you just mentioned that you grew up in a single parent home raised by a mother around sisters. What did that look like growing up? And why wasn't your dad present?
So my daddy just got in a lot of trouble. You know, my mama and daddy was in their early 30s, about my age now. So he's from Jamaica. He had got into some trouble, got deported very early on. Actually, when I was 4 years old, but he wasn't in my life since probably age 1. So my mama, coming from somewhat of a background that she didn't want us to be a part of, she moved down to Alabama. Me, my two sisters, and actually my older brother, but he was so much older, he moved out pretty quickly. And man, I just grew up, it wasn't objectively bad, but the story I created from the dynamic of not only daddy not being there and not having answers, but my mama working 2 to 3 jobs year round, I just felt invisible. You know, because like again, I was really living with my two sisters. And they connected to each other a lot better than they did me. Yeah. Everybody loved me, to be real with you. My mama loved me and they loved me. But then when mama get home from work, she need time just to be a human being. She got her own battles. So as she's trying to give herself, she's really stretched thin. And then on top of that, again, she barely connects with me. I'm missing my daddy. So a lot of my childhood, man, was just feeling invisible, feeling somewhat abandoned. Even though objectively that wasn't what was going on, that was a story I had created. And then I acted out to get a lot of attention. Mama, a single mom, she made everything straight.
All right. So let me just say something real quick. This man is a complete joke. And I'm going to tell you why. Because from the last time I covered this, I think it may have legitimately been a year. So, you know, with all the talk of him and how he cheated on his wife, you know, he stayed quiet. And this is what's so crazy. With all that time to reflect, please let me know if you guys are getting the same sense, right? Or you sensing the same thing. But all I hear is this brother not trying to hold himself accountable for nothing. You know, I grew up with my mom. I grew up with my sisters. My daddy wasn't home. I mean, cry me a river, homie. Cry me a river, homie. I mean, I don't know how many other people that have grown up in that same type of environment. I mean, that doesn't necessarily lead them to be, a cheater. And I want to use that term loosely because a lot of times I think people have a perception, right, of where I stand just because I believe in the Bible, right? So can a man have multiple partners? Absolutely. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a stack. But let me tell you why this is foul. This is foul because you see, men in the Bible, right? Real men. They entered the relationship from the jump. And they were living in a culture that was very understood that men can have multiple wives, right? So this is where it gets very deceptive. Because if you the type of man that you entered a relationship and you actually led the woman to believe that, oh, I'm going to be faithful, I'm not going to be talking to no other chicks, yada, 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 then be a man of your word, right? Now, can people change their mind over time? Absolutely. But that's not the case right here. He didn't come up to his wife and explain that he was going to do such and such. No. He was found out. You get what I'm saying? So that goes, everything that I'm going to say pertaining to, a man having multiple wives could be thrown out the window because he was not functioning as a biblical or a righteous man from the jump. So we have to throw that out. So now if we're playing by the rules that, people in the world are playing by, then this dude is absolutely a clown. And I'm going to tell you why it's even more highlighted. It's highlighted by the fact that he made his living. You get what I'm saying? The reason why we know Derrick Jaxn to begin with is because he was the brother preaching to women that, a man got to accept you for who you are. And if he doesn't, then he's the scrub and you got to kick him to the curb and he's a bum and, don't hang out with this dude. He's just trying to hold you back. That's what the interviewer was laying out in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? You were pandering to the women. So now, if that's the case, if the women could do no wrong, then what we're about to hear is all these excuses. All the excuses of how it's somehow not really his fault because he didn't have his daddy with him. He was being raised by a bunch of women. You get what I'm saying? So in pretty much, you guys, I'm telling you right now, he's literally saying with his own mouth that he's effeminate. As much as he want to talk about, the bro code and that we don't hold people accountable, I mean, that's the biggest bullshit I ever heard in my life. All I hear within male spaces is how men are trying to hold other men accountable. That's all I personally heard. And men, for the most part, we tend to be the ones that actually enter rigorous debate with one another because we are actually trying to come to a common ground and have some type of understanding. Women, on the other hand, again, oh, you a boss ass bitch. Do you, queen? All this talk. That's what a lot of women engage in. And I don't really see a lot of accountability amongst female spaces. But when it comes to men, I don't know what bro code he's referring to. But I know, as for me, I've always heard men try to hold other men accountable. So this dude, long story short, he was just a bum. He is just a bum. And an effeminate bum on top of that.
Child I needed to. She taught me basically everything up until I got to 10th grade. And that's when I had my stepdaddy, Mr. Lloyd, rest in peace. He came into the picture. And he gave me kind of that blue collar work ethic thing. We roofing, we fixing cars, we cutting grass. So
yeah.
That's pretty much it, man. A sophomore. Second year, she was a freshman.
All right, so sophomore and freshman, second year, and you were like, this is my woman. Were you exclusive with her during that time?
The first couple of months I was exclusive. I don't know if I ever had the proper boundaries, but for me it was like, of course, don't cheat. Don't go sleep with another girl. But I would say after that honeymoon phase, the first 2 months, is when I can remember. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember feeling really rejected by her. And I didn't know what was behind that because, okay, I don't have aggressive energy towards a woman except in intimacy. And so how I would express my affection oftentimes was aggressive. Like I want to pick her up.
Yeah.
I don't just kiss her. I pin her up against the wall, put my hand around. I'm not trying to get graphic.
Yeah.
There's context here. So, come up behind her and hug on her, kind of aggressive. But that would make her really, really shut down. And I didn't know what was going on. I felt rejected, like, why you don't want to kiss me? My breath stink or something like that? So we would have, and not only would she shut down then, it would be tension. It would be almost hostile. So again, this wasn't until about a month and a half, 2 months in, where it was like, now it's back-to-back things. Now I come up on the kiss her and she like kind of pushing away. She can't stay far enough away from me. She's kind of mean towards me. And it's kind of a flip side. And I didn't know part of what I was feeling didn't have nothing to do with the relationship. It was much deeper. But I remember like, man, my breath getting short. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I ain't never been so sensitive to rejection because we all get rejected, but this the first time I felt that. And what felt safer was to go out and at least have friendships with other girls. Just the conversation felt like receptiveness, like acceptance again. Mm-hmm. But those loose boundaries turned into no boundaries. So, if we continued to clash and she continued to pull away or what have you, and I'm not getting no answers or whatever, I'm, especially in my prideful state, I'm thinking, man, she got me effed up. So I'm over here doing the right thing and she over here acting like I ain't nothing. So now there's a party tonight or there's a girl on campus and then she got her own dorm room. And that's whenever I started messing around.
All right. So, you see, again, no accountability, right? This is literally just like Adam and Eve all over again. The Most High goes to Eve, what have you done? Oh, it's the serpent. You know what I'm saying? The Most High goes to Adam, it's the woman you gave me. I mean, just no accountability. All right, let me just say something real quick, all right? Because, a lot of people, I don't think they're going to take this route because they're probably not viewing this from a biblical perspective. But he said something that's extremely key, and I think we need to actually understand it. And we should not actually belittle what he actually said, because this is where, the women need to actually learn from this, because it's extremely important, all right? He mentioned that he felt rejected. Rejection, it's a very real thing. It's a very real spiritual condition. And when people are dealing with the spirit of rejection, it is extremely hard to win them over. It's extremely hard to win them over. Now, he was rejected because he would, try to, as he mentioned, go behind his wife, kiss her, pin her against the wall, do all this stuff, you get what I'm saying, trying to be romantic. And she would just, pull back from the dude. And this is extremely important to understand, because I think women don't realize the importance of actually being there and actually being able to be available emotionally and sexually for their man. I think a lot of women, they the ones that a lot of times they feel like, they the ones that are the only ones that experience emotions. So they just assume that men don't have no emotions, nada, and that pretty much, we always are stoic and we should not experience no type of ebbs and flows when it comes to our mental condition. But no, if you are pulling back from your man, right? Women, I need you to understand this. If you pull back from your man, you are damn near entering cheating territory. I want you guys to understand that. In the Bible, it mentions that women submit unto your husband as unto the Lord, right? I want you guys to understand the parallel here, right? As, meaning that it's a simile, right? So if you are supposed to revere your husband as unto the Lord, could you imagine Jesus walking by and Jesus trying to show us love and we just, Could you even fathom that? Some of you are probably laughing and you probably just like, what the hell? Well, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. If this man is literally trying to be intimate with you and you just put him back, that is totally an utter disrespect onto that man. And a lot of times you see, again, because women play the victim role, they want to present themselves as Danae did, right? Which, look at previous videos I had where she kind of explains what happened. But Danae Jackson, when she was on this interview with that guy, she was damn near throwing Derrick Jaxn under the bus, saying that, he did this, he did that, he cheated on me. And this is what's crazy too. You knew, because that's out of her own words. She knew that Derrick Jaxn was messing around with a whole bunch of other girls. But she still chose to enter that relationship with Derrick Jaxn, right? So if you know that your man is the type of guy that he's used to female attention, he's used to sexual attention, and that this man, he's clearly built so he could probably just snap his fingers and have a bunch of other girls, flock to him. So you have that type of man and you're not doing everything that you need to do in order to try to cater to him, especially emotionally and sexually. So no. You see, this is the reality that I think a lot of people are not gonna really focus on because can I dog this dude? Sure I can. I could bring out all the things that he did wrong. I absolutely can. However, there is a reality to the situation, which is that if you were one of those people or one of those women that actually are withholding your love to your man, just don't be surprised if you see him messing around and entertaining other women. I mean, it's just a matter of fact. And here's another thing too, right? It's very insensitive on behalf of the woman especially when you consider the fact that, again, this is a man who was accustomed to being with a whole bunch of women, right? And here you are, you're trying to form this relationship with this man, and again, they are not biblically minded, right? So I'm only trying to dissect their mindset from the parameters that they were engaging in. So it was clear that they had a monogamous relationship going on, all right? So with that being said, here you are, you're trying to lock this man and you're trying to gain some type of sexual exclusivity from this man. So here's this man, he can't talk to no other women. He can't, build relationship with no other type of women. So you have him essentially in this emotional prison, right? But now, what? You're gonna not give the only woman he has the ability to talk to, you're gonna pull back from that individual? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? And you expect this brother that he's not gonna just be, because here's the thing, right? And this is so important, I think, for women to actually understand as well. Irregardless of how that man grew up. Because as I mentioned earlier in the video, how this dude was clearly effeminate. He grew up with his mom, his sisters, you know what I'm saying? And he's saying that because of that, that's the reason why he was actually, it may have come across as that he was pandering to women, even though that's not the case. He actually just was more in tune with the female experience because that's what he grew up around, right? This is what makes it so ironic. Because even that type of brother, even that brother who was only amongst women, biology kicked in. And eventually his male nature, masculinity just started to kick in. You get what I'm saying? And so this is actually an even deeper point because, again, we cannot change our nature. We can't. People may try to go about it through hormone injections. They might try to do surgery and all this stuff. But no. You cannot change your biological condition. As a man, irregardless of what environment you grew up in, if you put a man in the right circumstances, he's just gonna act like a man. You get what I'm saying? He's just gonna act like a man. So women, and the reason why this is important, because for all you women out there, listen to what I'm telling you carefully. If you truly believe that you could change a man, that is fundamentally your biggest error. If you think that you can just give that man some punani and that's gonna somehow change his whole life view and he's gonna you are deceiving only yourself. And I've always found it laughable women who actually think that they could change a man just by giving them punani. It's very laughable.
That was the first time I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. Cause at this point, man, I done got her books. I got a therapist because I'm not getting the version of her I think I'm supposed to get. I'm faithful, I'm provisional, I'm still asking about what we can do to fill up her love tank, but she's hostile, she's closed off. At times she's emasculating with how she talks. Of course, this is not even close to being there. And then she said, well, we need to go to counseling.
That's why I'm glad you went right there. Then what happened in counseling?
And at first I was reluctant, I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because it's like, why is the relationship only in trouble when you're unhappy? Why is it that I've been telling you stuff, I'm not getting what I need, I'm paying for personal trainers to help fix your self-esteem so you can get back in shape, I'm paying for the therapist, the books, the podcasts, I'm doing everything, rubbing feet, backs, everything, and it's not enough, and I'm hurt by that, but then whenever you feel upset, now you're ready to save the relationship. So I was reluctant at first, I ain't gonna lie.
You know, this is extremely weird, right? Let me tell you why this is weird, because again, this just speaks to the hypocrisy. Could you imagine all the advice that he was giving women? How this man needs to, cater to you at every whim. Like this man has to pretty much do what he did for his wife, right? He said he was giving her back rubs, rubbing her feet, buying physical trainers for her, the books, podcast. He would do, so in other words, he was just constantly giving his wife everything that she wanted. And his relationship was like this.
Oh, hell no!
So this is what makes it so confusing, because it's just like, bruh, why the hell were you giving women this type of advice? Why were you giving women this type of advice? If your own relationship was not even working, and yet you're telling women that they need to find a man that's doing what you were doing. You see, this is what you need to understand, right? Fundamentally, you do not give women what they want. Truth be told, okay, some of you may not even understand why I mentioned Jesus in the beginning, right? I'm gonna tell you exactly why. You see, in the spirit, we men, we are viewed, and I'm saying man both naturally, and you could equate that to man as a whole, mankind, right? But we are the brides of Christ, meaning that in relationship to the Creator, we are viewed as the woman, right? So what you need to understand is that men actually understand women more than women may think. Oh, you will never be able to understand. You don't gotta. No. Trust me. We get it. Righteous men, right? I can't speak to all men. But the righteous man who understands exactly what I'm talking about. We understand women very well, and this is why, right? Because we know our relationship in regards to the Creator, right? We are in the position of the wife as the woman in relationship to the Creator, and He's the bridegroom, right? So why is this important? It's important because the Most High doesn't just give His bride everything that they want. That's not how He operates. You see, if you can understand how the Creator deals with us as the bride, then man, you can understand how you're supposed to deal with your woman. And woman, now we're talking about natural women. The way the Father deals with us, that's what qualities you need to be looking for in a man. A real man is not going to just give you what you want. He's going to give you what you need. You see, so how about this aspect of love, right? Because we always try to make love like this romantic bullshit. But what does it say, right? That God, right? I'm using terms that y'all might be familiar with. God chasten those whom he loves. Chasten? Oh, so he's going to put that whip on your ass, right? He's going to actually rebuke you. He's going to correct you. Interesting. How come this form of love is not ever preached? You see, we always want to quote John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave up his only begotten son, yada, right? We always want to quote that, but we never actually talk about the other aspects of love. That open rebuke is better than secret love. How come we don't ever quote that? Open rebuke, meaning that if you're dealing with somebody, you might actually rebuke them openly in front of everybody, and that actually is a greater form of love than me just hugging on you and kissing on you. How come nobody ever talks about that? You see, so what you need to understand is that this dude, Derrick, was not functioning as a man. He was functioning as a simp, and he was giving women advice on how to find simps and only accept simps. You see, I could just imagine all the relationships where women were actually with good men. It's so crazy. A lot of you women were probably in relationship with really good men that just because they didn't give you everything you wanted, but they were probably giving everything that you need. They were trying to actually rear you up. They were actually trying to build you up. But because you don't like the correction, you don't like real masculinity where, men will be stern and keep it real with you. No. You wanted the beta, the simp, the dude that was just going to pander to you. And lo and behold, that you don't realize female nature, women don't even like when men just pander to them. That's the irony. So this dude, you don't even understand how destructive all his advice was, because he's literally trying to, quote unquote, help women find men. But that type of man is not going to satisfy him, hence his own relationship and why it's failing.
But I'm engaged now. We got a little baby. Let's do this. Let's go to counseling.
Was already born at this point?
Yeah, Marley's already there. She was there maybe 8 months old. She was very young. And then the counselor, and this was kind of really made it tough for me to continue on, he immediately went into rescuer mode. Danae is a lot better at accessing her emotions, especially painful emotions, than I ever have been. So me and her together, I'm big and I'm extroverted, I can talk a little bit. She's a soft voice and, just look like she just been held in a basement or something like that. So we going and talking, and immediately she goes in about all the hard things I had done in the previous relationship. So me, ignorant, didn't really, I never considered all the previous, because I'm like, hold on, in between time we single, you've been dating?
Yeah.
I'm thinking especially because she got her lick back.
Yeah.
She got her lick back. And call me what you want, bro, I still feel to an extent. Once you get your lick back and you even the score,
we even.
I don't want to you know what I'm saying? Like you went and one of the guys, and I don't know if she slept with him or nothing like that, but it was one of my homies. She knowingly did that. So I did that to make you upset. She went for guitar lessons and learned everything she needed to know in one night. But I was like, okay, well, my chest hurt just like your chest.
Learned everything you need to know in one night.
But I'm like, you wasn't bad for doing that. Anybody would be, first off, on timing, then secondly, to make me, you know what I'm saying, my chest hurt just like hers did.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So when we in this counseling session, back to here, 2017, she going in, and I'm in the present of all the things I've been doing. It's the first time I've come this hard for the relationship ever. And, financial aspect. And the security, I got down on one knee. I can't do no more than what I've done. But she talking about me like I'm a dog. And the only thing that exists is all the negatives. I ain't done a single positive, So he not only allowed her to say that, he said, now you got this hard voice with me already. I ain't even said nothing. You don't say a word. Not until y'all come back on another session. So it was tough because I'm like, man, my feelings are obsolete the moment that she talked. And she crying and everything, so I get it. But I'm like, man, this ain't it for somebody who already deals with shame, wounds, abandonment, all this other stuff. We did do like one more session, and in that time, I found out she was texting the personal trainer under a woman's name. She had been searching them on Facebook. She had lied about some other stuff. So after that, bro, and she went and said some things that weren't true in the counseling. I didn't even want to go no more.
You just say, I'm not going.
No, because I felt like, you're not even approaching this genuinely. And at this point, I was questioning if I wanted to go through with the marriage.
You know, I love the Bible so much because in the Bible it mentions that, God, the Most High Yah, He hates a false balance. And hearing this is so amazing because I could find error on both parties. And usually that's what happens. A lot of times that's what's happening. Remember, there's three sides. Party A, in this case, the woman. Party B, Derrick. And then 3, you have the truth. But isn't it so amazing how if you guys just have the ears to hear, you can see clearly how they both screwed up. We already know that Derrick acted like a simp. But here you have this woman who slept with this guy's, it's insinuated that she somehow was offended, which the Bible mentioned that a brother offended is harder to win than a defensed city. She was offended for things that Derrick did in previous relationships. So she was already offended. Right? So that spirit of offense led her, she was holding on to that offense in this new relationship with Derrick, and she was still trying to, I guess, get her revenge. Right? She was still vindictive, so she now is getting guitar lessons and learn everything in one night. Whatever. Hey, you interpret that how you will. But it's just so amazing to me because it's just like, wow, can you not just clearly see how batshit crazy this relationship was? So she is presenting herself to the whole public like she did nothing wrong. But apparently she was denying the man, sexual attention. And now she's here, and they both cheated. Again, it's so crazy to even talk like this because, the Bible don't even speak like that. But okay, according to their arrangement, they both pretty much cheated on each other. And then even when they were taking counseling, she's here texting the personal trainer that he paid for. The personal trainer that he was paying for. Wow. This is crazy. But I'll also say this, right? Going on Derrick now. Isn't it amazing? What happened to the bro code? If the bro code is that apparently men, they stick up for one another no matter what, and that creates a generation of I think he mentioned, emasculated men or effeminate men who can't take correction. That therapist was a man. What happened to the bro code then? I thought he was gonna just take your side. I thought he was just gonna take your side. Nah, he didn't take your side. So here you are. Notice what he said. Oh, I have feelings too. Do you hear the effeminate nature coming out? I got feelings too. Which he's right. He does have feelings. But if anybody knows anything about therapy, they are called therapy sessions. Meaning that there's going to be multiple times to go there. Now, is it true? We don't know because we wasn't there. But let's say it was true. Okay, be patient. That day that you went, your sentiments were not heard. Okay, but how about you just wait it out? Now, I do understand what he's saying. If Danae was still texting the personal trainer and she was being genuine throughout the whole course of the process. But, bruh, I thought, what happened to the bro code? Yes. You see, again, who knows what the therapist saw? Who knows what the therapist saw? But this is exactly why I said in the beginning that male spaces, we tend to hold each other accountable. So for whatever he saw, you know what I'm saying? He probably was like, bro, I don't really need to hear from you right now. I don't really need to hear from you right now. I mean, that's not to say that he's not going to hear from him in the future, but he couldn't take that heat. He couldn't take that pressure. So now here he is, he just dipset, and now he's all in his feelings, and he's butthurt. I mean, this shit is utterly crazy, y'all. Let me also mention this, right? That, you see, men and women are totally different. We are totally different. We were created different. And see, and this is why this whole like forced monogamy thing, which most people don't even know how it came about. And that's why I'm trying my best to kind of plant seeds, to throw it in there. Like the Bible don't speak of monogamy. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying that for a reason. Because again, the nature of men and women is this. A man can, quote unquote, if I'm trying to use, the terms of the world, he can cheat 50 times. It's not the same as a woman cheating just once. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, okay, I'll take this route, right? Again, the analogy with the creator of the universe in relationship to us. When Jesus gave the parable of the 10 virgins, right? You do your research. If you know about it, cool. If you don't, again, do your research. But isn't it interesting? If he was given the parable of the 10 virgins, the implication is that all 10 were supposed to marry the bridegroom. And the bridegroom represented who? Jesus. Isn't it interesting? Now, again, obviously, all 10 did not marry the bridegroom because 5 of them were foolish, right? And they did not prepare by, having oil for their lamp. But think about this. If they were not foolish, the implication is that all 10 was going to marry that bridegroom. And even with the fact that there were 5 that were foolish, 5 still ended up marrying that bridegroom. That's still a parable in the showcasing polygyny and showcasing that men can have multiple women. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this for a reason, right? Because again, the nature of the man is that he can have multiple women. And when you try to force the monogamy perspective on that man, like I said, that male nature is going to kick in. So this is why, again, it's not the same. Men can have multiple women and it would never be the same. And I'll even take it from this route, right? When men have multiple women, right? It is still in order, perfect order. Why? Because I'll use myself. If I enter 5 women, all 5 women will know exactly who their baby father is, and I will know who's the mother of my child is. So everybody understands. If you were to somehow change that or, flip it around and you have a woman sleeping with 5 dudes, the confusion would be insane. Because especially if they're all entering her around the same time frame, especially considering that we don't have modern technology to do DNA testing, which again, back in those days, biblical times, they did not have that. So could you imagine the confusion? Yeah, okay, you had sex with 5 dudes all in the same month. When that child comes 9 months later, who's actually the father? Could you tell? Could you have told without DNA testing? It is an abomination. It is an abomination. You get what I'm saying? And we here thinking that it's cool just because, we have modern day science. But it is still an abomination. All right, y'all. That's enough. This video been long enough. I would love to hear your perspective. Put it down in the comment section down below, because this was one hell of a dissection into the world that is Derrick Jaxn. You know what I'm saying? He was a clown before. I think he's still a clown now. Anyway, with that being said, you guys, Nick over and out. The message sent. Jesus is king, y'all.